Man, I did 41 minutes and I didn't really have a lot of news to talk about. So honestly, shout out me. Shout out myself on this one. I'm gonna go ahead and pull up the impact report here, and I'm curious what everybody else in the chat thought of impact this week. Next week on TNA Impact, they're doing a Thanksgiving special where they are showing dark matches from throughout the year. So that is better than completely phoning it in and taking the week off and doing like a Wrestle House or something like that, or doing a best of. At least we're getting fresh matches. But I still don't like it, and I'll tell you why. Because none of the matches have any stakes. None of them have any stories. None of them mean anything. There is a match where Nick Nemeth is defending the title against Sami Callihan from earlier in the year, but we know who wins. We know who wins. I, for the life of me, will never understand why they can't just do a fresh episode. I think they should just make it the biggest show of the year, make it a landmark show every single year, their Thanksgiving special, and do big time world title match and like put all the belts on the line. You know what I mean? And make it like one of their pay-per-views, but an Impact show. And everybody's gonna say, well, the ratings won't be good. You get this stuff on, they can air it, you know, at its normal time. TNA Plus, they got YouTube, Twitter, all these other places where they can put the stuff. The content will get consumed. Okay. But if you put your best foot forward on this show, I guarantee you people will come to watch it. A lot of Impact fans don't watch football. And a lot of Impact fans hate their families. Okay, that's a joke. But not only that, and Io pointed this out to me. The show is not even airing on Access until midnight. So I don't know what Access has planned for Thursday night. It's a set, like this show is essentially getting preempted. They're putting it on. They're putting it on at midnight on Access. Access does not care about the show. I get the feeling they're probably going to show an old Eagles concert or something, or fucking Pat Benatar on that channel. That channel sucks. Just, I like the Eagles. I like Pat Benatar, but come on. But you know, TNA Plus is showing it at the normal time. But essentially, Impact is getting preempted on their own station that their parent company owns. It makes no sense to me. Like it makes no sense to me. I don't know what they're thinking, but they're showing some dark matches. You know, one of them is Nemeth versus Sami, and then I got PCO versus Moose. I'm sure some of the matches are going to be fun and exciting and yada yada. But the winners and losers don't matter, so therefore the TV show doesn't matter. It has no storyline stakes. It's not connected to each week, so it's a throwaway show again. But it's better than not having fresh matches. I get that, but it's still a throwaway show. Not good. Not good. But all right, let's get into this Impact review. I thought the show was pretty good this week. I thought the show last week was pretty good too. The Fayetteville shows have been a winner. And I think once we get into the road, so these last 2 weeks have been the road to Turning Point, essentially. They're promoting Turning Point. So the first night of tapings was geared towards Turning Point, and then the second night of tapings is geared towards Final Resolution, coming up in December at Atlanta and Center Stage. So in the Saturday night tapings that they did, the Turning Point taping, or the Final Resolution tapings, actually had a packed house. So this, like the Friday night shows that are geared towards Turning Point, you can see a lot of empty seats in the bleachers, but apparently that's not the case for that's going to be for the next 2 weeks. After the Thanksgiving show, then we're going to be back the following week. As we get into December, we're going to have 2 more episodes leading into Final Resolution come at the beginning of December. And apparently those shows were packed, even more packed than these last couple of episodes. The crowd has been great. They've been doing awesome. So a lot to look forward to coming up. But let's go ahead and get into the results. And here is the reason for my thumbnail. Masha Slamovich defeated Alisha Edwards in a no disqualification match. I thought this match was fun. I like Alisha Edwards as a heel. She does a great job. She's not a classic great worker, right? She didn't have to be. That's not her role. That's not her character. Her character's not out there having 50-50 great matches. There's other people to do that stuff. But I was just so impressed by Edwards here because she's gotten a bad rap for a long time, and I think some of it's warranted. When she was a babyface, I thought she was a terrible actress, and like the matches were terrible. But since she's been a heel, I remember last year she had that match with Trinity. I thought that match was awesome, right? So she's in her element here, doing these kind of hardcore gimmick like plunder matches, and we see too many of these, and they're pretty lame for the most part. But I think it plays to her strengths, and she was impressive as hell. She's a good heel. She gets the crowd into it. She annoys people, which is great. She gets under people's skin. She went right into some kid's face and called him a loser. I thought that was funny. Chances are he was. So she's probably telling the truth on that. But I thought this was a fun match. There was a spot in the middle of the match where Alisha powerbombed Masha onto the back of a trash can, and the trash can had no give to it. That was pretty intense. I thought Slamovich pulled the best out of Alisha, and I thought that Alisha pulled the best out of Slamovich. But again, this was not Jordynne Grace versus Masha, where they're, doing all the moves and the kickouts and stuff like that. That's not what this was. This was a match with a really good heel trying to get their babyface champion over, and it worked. This was great. I loved this, and it didn't overstay its welcome. I think the match probably wasn't more than 8 minutes. So it was exactly what it needed to be. Let's get to some action here. Slamovich pulls out a trash can, throws it into the ring. She starts taking the back over on offense. She sets it upside down in the ring and slams Edward face into it into a turnbuckle. She then does the same thing with the thumb turnbuckle and hoists her up. She climbs her up in front of the vertically placed trash can. She looks for a superplex, but Edwards thumbs Slamovich in the eye. That was funny to avoid it. She power bombs her on top of the trash can while sitting upside down. Yeah, that had no give. She goes for the cover, but only gets a 2. Grabs a kendo stick and begins wearing out the champ with repeated shots. Slamovich eventually blocks one of the shots, gets the kendo stick from her, blasts her with it. She follows that up with a package pile driver and cover for the 1, 2, 3. Any normal match, that would have been a kick out spot. And everybody would, what a kick out, as BQ likes to make fun of Tom Hannafin for. That would have been a kick out spot. They didn't do that here, and it was great. You don't need to do that. Not every week on your TV shows. Masha is a monster, like babyface, super strong champion. Alicia's a shithead heel who's trying to cheat, thumb to the eye, pulling out dirty tactics. Got a hope spot with that trash can spot. Beat her up with a kendo stick, and then just got her ass kicked. Masha said, fuck this. Pile driver, boom, 1, 2, 3. We're done fucking around with this kid. That's the way it should be. It doesn't need to go 20 minutes with them kicking out of each other's moves all the time. You don't always have to have these like epic 5-star matches on your TV show. Sometimes if you're trying to get somebody over, you need them to go out there and kick somebody's ass, and that's what happened. And at the same time, Alisha looked great. I thought this was fantastic. It reminded me, like, obviously the moves weren't similar, but it was last week with Santana and Casey Navarro, where Santana beat his ass unequivocally. There's no doubt about the results. But Casey looked good in the process. He got to kick out of like one move. But for the most part, it was an ass whooping. And it was great. Casey took a great ass whooping, and he made Santana look like $1 million. So I loved that match last week, and I really enjoyed this. I thought this was fun. So kudos to them. And then we go to so afterwards, Tasha Steelz hits the ring, attacks Slamovich, and of course Jordynne Grace's theme hits, and out comes the Juggernaut. Running the same storyline with Jordynne Grace and Masha that they're doing with Nick Nemeth and Joe Hendry. So I'm like, the story is not interesting, so I'm kind of ready to get the whole thing over with. Like I think it's time for Jordan to get to WWE. She's like a lame duck talent. So I'm just ready to move on. Next, we go to Jody Threat, who's in great shape, by the way. Good for her. Defeated Ash by Elliott. Dude, this fucking recapper from the Observer. This dude, I don't think he's actually watching the show because he's done this to me several times. Ash by Elegance won that match, bro. And she did it with the worst looking swanton. My kid in gymnastics class can do a forward roll better than what this is. I got, before that they had a little segment with Zach Wentz, Trey Miguel, and Kushida talking about their match coming up with Trent Seven, Hammerstone, and Jake something. So there you go. That's a turning point. I thought this match was okay. This match was fine. It was wholly inoffensive. Again, it didn't overstay its welcome. So that's good. When Ash by Elegance, unless she's in there with Masha, she's never been with Masha, but unless she's in there with Jordan Grace, she shouldn't go more than like 5 or 6 minutes, and that's fine. Keep her matches short. I thought this match was totally fine. Again, it's lazy. This is a brand new tag team, and they're winning singles matches to be able to get a tag title shot. They're probably going to get the shot at Final Resolution. You would like to see a tag team win tag team matches to get a tag title shot. They won one on the pre-show last month, but since then it's just been singles matches because they don't have any tag teams. Fucking idiots. And the show returns. Santana's theme hits and he comes through the crowd. This guy is so over. He's so charismatic. He's a great promo. He comes across like a big star. I'm pretty sure my friend Nonzo said that it's gonna be interesting to see what happens when his contract comes up. I don't know how long he's here for, but man, they're really maximizing what they're able to get out of Santana. Here's the problem. I was watching the Access feed. He comes out, he grabs the microphone, and he starts to cut a promo. And then they cut to picture-in-picture at the wrong time on Access TV. Now, when they're supposed to go to picture-in-picture because Tom Hannafin will tell you to go to picture-in-picture. He says it. And in fact, he said it during the Kazarian Rhino match. We're going to go to picture-in-picture. And then on Access TV, they're supposed to go to the commercial with the match, split screen, right? With the commercial. And then on the TNA Plus feed, Tom Hannafin just continues his commentary. He goes, and we're back from picture in picture. He will signal to Access TV when to place the commercials. TNA did their part. The people at Access TV are not watching the show. they threw it on in the middle of a fucking promo. And they missed their spot for when it's supposed to happen during the following match. So the people that will only watch on Access, which happened to be 99,000 people this week, missed the promo, which is a shame because it was great. Now, thankfully, TNA put it out on Twitter, and I think they put it out on YouTube. It was a really good promo, which was then interrupted by he is basically giving his mission statement, which is important for what a character is supposed to do. His mission statement is to win the World Heavyweight title, and he's sending notices to Nick Nemeth that he's coming, right? But now he's starting his rise to that spot. And TNA is placing obstacles in his way. The first obstacles, Kazarian comes out with his Call Your Shot trophy, and basically tells him that so Santana makes everyone a promise that he will sit atop the throne and become the TNA World Champion. If a babyface promises that, they have to come through. I know that's old school of me to think that, but that's just the basic babyface booking 101. If they say they're going to do something, they have to ultimately do it. So I get the feeling that in 2025, at some point, Santana is going to be the World Heavyweight Champion. But then he gets cut off by Frankie, and he hits the ring. He is such a smug asshole. It's so funny. Frankie says, "Yeah, you beat Moose, and that's cool, but it's only one win." He boasts having the Call Your Shot trophy. Santana tells Kazarian that him and his trophy smell like douchebags. Santana says before he was interrupted, he wanted to put Nick Nemeth on notice and let him know there's a new contender in line. He says Kazarian is out there. He's got no problem cracking his skull. Kazarian put his Puerto Rican temper back in his back pocket, and he'll gladly send him back to the slums and the streets where he's from. But he's got bigger and better things to do as well. He says he'll be at Turning Point. He's going to have his sights set on Nemeth at title bout. And Santana says it's funny that he brings up Turning Point because he doesn't have a match yet. Kazarian says he doesn't either, but he's taking the night off. And Santana says there's no nights off in TNA, well, except for Thanksgiving. And then, of course, the last 2 weeks of December and the first week of January. So there's a lot of time off. And you guys only work once or twice a month. But anyway, I digress. You know, Santino Morella's in the back somewhere, and he's going to find him. He's going to make this official. Santana tells Kazarian that the people have spoken. Tells him good luck tonight with Rhino because there is no more running for his ass. And then we get the big rhinoceros out here. Fans are chanting gore, gore, gore. Kazarian ends up cheating to win. You know, I don't think you got to cheat to win to beat Rhino, to be honest with you. I don't. And the match was okay. But I don't think you need to cheat to win to beat Rhino. He did the whole cheap roll-up deal, and it's like, it's kind of lame. If we're priming Kazarian for a bigger spot, he should have just beat Rhino. He should have just beat him. Let's see. Billy says, Mike Santana's become a great promo guy. His nickname is appropriate as he's real. Good interplay with Kaz here, too. Yeah, I agree. You know, I've been high on Mike's promos since he was in LAX back in the day. Go back and watch some of those LAX promos when they just let Mike riff. He's really good. He was really good back then. I saw it in him then. And then he was doing some really good promos in AEW when he had the opportunity. And JD and I were like saying, like, this guy's got top guy energy. I think that if they're able to lock this guy down for a long time, he could be a top guy for them. I really do. They're playing their cards right with the Santana. He's good. He's really good. And then we go to a Steve Maclin mini movie. Basically, a lot of Steve Maclin going back to his hometown, kind of questioning life. He's like sitting at a bar. They're playing some music. And then he gets to his hotel room, and then he starts having kind of PTSD flashbacks. As someone who suffers from PTSD, I felt that. I did. So that one kind of hit me in the feels a little bit. But they did this weird thing with Eric Young, where Eric Young is like in his head. And it reminded me of Violent by Design things. And that kind of got me a little nervous. Not going to lie. But I came away from this like, hey, I thought it was really well done. I loved it. I thought Maclin did a great job. He's really good in these. But he's having nightmares about Eric Young, and then he wakes up from his nightmare, and they're doing flashbacks to him in Afghanistan, him in his uniform. So there's a lot going on here, right? And he's having like these conversations with Eric Young in his suit. Eric Young's in his head, and then he wakes up from his nightmares, and then there's a knock at the door, and it's Eric Young. I can't tell if Eric Young's supposed to be a heel here. So that was really my only issue with it. So I don't know. I'm interested to see where it's going. They're doing really good character work with Maclin. But I came away from this vignette thinking that Eric Young is turning heel again. Am I the only one that thought that? So I could see them doing the blow-off match with Josh Alexander. Like, say they finally blow it off at Genesis. Alexander's out of the company, and then Eric Young steps into Josh's role and then takes over the Armory under his wing. That's kind of what I thought was like, and then he's going to take over the feud with Steve Maclin, and he's going to continue the feud there. That's kind of what I came away with. I came away thinking. I don't know. I don't know where this is going, but that's what I thought. But I did think they did a good job. Leon Slater and Laredo Kid are up next, and they defeat Moose and JDC, which is weird. This match to me, I know that they're pushing the Laredo Kid match at Turning Point, but Laredo Kid didn't even get the pin here. It was Leon Slater. I think the ultimate destination is a pay-per-view match between Moose and Leon Slater, and I like that. And they don't even need to put Leon Slater over the first time. I think they could have Moose win and then Leon Slater get it later in the year because I think that the future is Leon. But this was weird that Leon Slater ends up pinning JDC. I thought the match was pretty good. I liked the match. But Leon Slater gets the pin on JDC, and then the system attacks him, and then Laredo Kid ends up making the save with a steel chair, and then the system, like JDC and Moose, heads out. And because he made the save, he's the one getting the title match at Turning Point. That makes no sense to me. It's like, it's like there's no, I can't connect those dots. That makes no sense whatsoever. They want to put Laredo Kid in the match, but what they don't want to do is get him a victory to get there. They just refuse to let this guy win a match. He's only won a couple of matches in his whole career in TNA, and he's been here off and on since 2017. And in fact, I think his Lucha blog on Twitter said, this is Laredo. He's been here off and on since 2017, and this is his first singles match on a premium live event or pay-per-view. And it's for the X Division title against Moose in a prime spot. And the guy's never won. He did win the digital media championship from I believe it was from Crazy Steve, but that's because Crazy Steve was leaving, so they threw a bone to Laredo Kid. Crazy Steve was a heel. He dropped it to Laredo Kid, and then Laredo Kid immediately, he got a victory of a guy, I think it was Casey Navarro, and he wasn't even signed to the company at the point. He ends up getting one victory. So he had a two fight win streak. And then he dropped it to AJ Francis and went back to irrelevance. And so now he's in a tag team match where his partner gets the victory. And now he's getting the title shot. So when I tell you guys that this company has momentum, all those things are true, but it's in spite of some of their ticky-tack horseshit booking like this. Just very lazy. It's like, hey, we want to get Laredo Kid a match here, but for God forbid we let a Mexican get a victory on television. We can't have that. We can't be letting Mexicans win. So we're gonna have Leon win, and then we're gonna put Laredo Kid in the match so he can lose. So Moose racks up more victories and more title defenses. It's so stupid. So stupid. Let's see. Hold on. All right, hold on. Kruger says, nope, I got VBD vignette vibes from UI. Yeah, so did I. Billy says he didn't have a singles match of pay-per-view with the DMC. No, those are all pre-shows. Those are all YouTubes. So, and then Billy agrees with me. There's no reason Laredo didn't get that pin. Yeah, if you're pushing the guy to the match, to the title, like why wouldn't he be the one to get the victory? It makes no sense. Anyway, and then the show returns, and then Joe Hendry comes out. Guy's super over, man. He's still over. Hendry says he's got a lot to be thankful for. He says his goal is to be clear, though, is that's become the TNA World Champion. So again, a mission statement that's important for characters. We need to know what their why is. He says instead he's in a Thanksgiving Turkey Bowl match at Turning Point. So stupid. Instead of holding the title like he should, he might be standing there in a giant turkey suit. That's so dumb. And John Skyler's in the match, so it's like we all know who's gonna be in the turkey suit. I don't think that any of the people other than John Skyler should even be in the match. It's just so lame. But anyway, a good promo. And then Nick Nemeth says it sounds like everyone still believes in Joe Hendry, but he's focused on Turning Point. With that in mind, he's got a sight set on Eddie Edwards. He says he's ready to continue and set an example of what it takes to be a fighting champion. Nemeth says at Turning Point, the wanted man does what he does best, steals the show. And that's probably going to be pretty good. And then we go back to the Impact Zone and Savannah Evans, her music hits. And out she comes. And already in the ring is her opponent, Brittany Jade, who looks like a local job talent and definitely somebody that got some very inexpensive tattoos all over her body. Bell sounds and Evans kicks her ass. Boom. Full Nelson slam for the win. So there you go. I don't know that we'll be seeing Brittany Jade ever again. But I like that they're having Savannah Evans win squash matches. I wonder when we see Lei Ying Lee. Lucha, you're in the chat. Was Lei Ying Lee at those tapings? I don't remember hearing her name. I don't remember hearing her name. And then we go to the main event. We got Jake something, Hammerstone, and Trent 7, as Lucha Doncic calls him, Trent 789, defeated the Hardys and Ace Austin. I thought this match, this main event, was better than any had any right being. These Hardy boys are so over. They're used to perfection here in TNA. I thought everybody looked great. I want Hammerstone and Jake something to kill people and win tag matches. That's too much to ask. Trent Seven's getting the push here. He just turned heel. He got the victory over Ace Austin. I get the feeling that instead of wrestling Speedball coming up, he's probably going to wrestle Ace. Not at Turning Point, but maybe Final Resolution. So, but I thought this was a great match. Show returns well to action. It's all over the place. The crowd comes to life as their hometown legends. Hardy start hitting trademark spots again. Jeff hits a swanton. Both guys hit a dueling twist of fates on the floor. The fans chant Hardy, Hardy, Hardy. Back inside the ring, Ace Austin is revved up and ready to go. Trent Seven blasts him with a low blow that the referee doesn't see. Follows that up with a burning hammer for the win. Crowd boos like crazy. Trent continues his heel antics until the Rascals and Kushida run out to make the save. So that's your big tag match. Kushida and the Rascals versus the Hardys. And Ace Austin at Turning Point. And then, but yeah, let's see. Let's go to the chat here. But I thought overall this was a very good episode. I liked the episode. Did great. Hold on. Io says, your man Oni like no, it's Conan Lycan. Conan Lycan. You're thinking of Oni Lorcan. Yeah, but Conan Lycan was on Explosion. But Lucha was not on the show this week, so we did not get an Explosion report. We need Lucha to pop in every now and then and do an Explosion report for us. Let's see. Io says good trios match. Yep. And then the washed Hardy haters be damned. I watched this and I'm like, what's wrong with this? This is good. This was a lot of fun. I still understand, like, I get they're old, but I really just don't get it. I really just don't get it. Lucha says, Joe wants to start from the bottom. I don't think he wanted to. I think he got made to by Santino start from the bottom. But he was going to start from the bottom and work his way back up. That simple story detail makes me less hate the Turkey Bowl match. It's not the match. It's the stipulation. I don't think a main eventer should be in a match with that stipulation. I just don't. You know, years ago when they did this match and Disco Inferno won or lost or whatever, it was like the Eli Drake Gravy Train, whatever it was. I thought that was pretty fun, but there was no like main event talents in it, and Disco wore the turkey suit, and the ratings actually went up from the previous week. That was back on Pop TV. Like, if they want to do that, that's fine. But I think they should do like a traditional 5-on-5 Survivor Series, and then whoever wins whoever gets pinned has to wear it. I think that would be fun. Let's see. Billy says, I see Kevin Knight was on ROH this week. TNA should have snatched him up. They couldn't have, because he's under contract to New Japan. He's a New Japan guy. And he also works MLW. So, because those who New Japan has relationships with right now, the relationship with TNA is effectively dead. There's a chance they can work together again. As I stated last week, nobody from NXT was at the tapings this time. So, maybe they can start working with New Japan again, but I don't know. Kruger says, Scott Demore's ask for a title shot and get it. Policy left with him. Lucha says, the Eli Drake Gravy Train Turkey Trot. Yeah, that's what it was called. And Io says, I think he's still in New Japan. Yeah. No, he was never a TNA guy. He was just working TNA because of the relationship with New Japan. Let's see. Billy says Kushida works both. Kushida is under contract to TNA, right? He is not under contract to New Japan. So TNA allows him to go work New Japan. It's not the other way around where New Japan is allowing Kushida to work TNA. Kushida is primarily a TNA talent. So that is the difference. So they did not have the option to snatch Kevin Knight up because Kevin Knight works for somebody else. He's under contract to New Japan. So they could not have signed him to a contract. So Kevin Knight works where New Japan tells him he can work, essentially. So yeah, I hope hopefully I explained it. Hopefully I explained it like pretty well. Lucha says TNA NJPW can't be that dead. A junior tag team champ, Kushida in the building. Kushida has it in his deal when he signed that he could still work New Japan dates. That's what the deal was. It was announced last year. So when Kushida signed, you guys can go back to whenever the announcement was made when Kushida signed with the company that he was going to be, he's a TNA talent, but that he would still be working New Japan dates. That's all that is. I said it's effectively dead because we have not seen a New Japan talent. Again, Kushida is a TNA talent. Okay. Let's get that out of the way. We have not seen a New Japan talent on TNA since the spring. That tells me it's effectively dead. But that doesn't mean they can't work together again in the future. It's dead in the sense that they're just not doing it, right? It needs to be resuscitated, right? The only barrier between them is TNA has decided to primarily focus on their relationship with NXT, again, which they didn't have any NXT talent on this latest round of tapings. They have no NXT talent coming up at Turning Point, right? And based on what the spoilers are, it doesn't look like we're going to have any NXT talent coming up on Final Resolution. That doesn't mean that they couldn't have anybody coming up in the new year. They just don't have any in the near future. But so Billy says, so TNA allows their talents to work in New Japan, but not vice versa. It's not allow or whatever. I get the feeling TNA has not requested anybody from New Japan. I'm sure if they requested and they wanted to start again, they could get something worked out. Look, New Japan talent works everywhere. They work everywhere. They're working MLW. Court Bauer asks them for those talents. They ask them. Haven't TNA talents worked New Japan shows in the U.S.? I don't think so. Not this year. I don't think so this year. Other than Kushida. I think Kushida's really the only one. Lucha says TNA AAA needs to be resuscitated because the link between the two keeps getting hurt. Well, I mean, the Vikingo. Again, I think it's more, so Laredo Kid works for both. I think it's more of an issue where TNA is not requesting the talent. I think if they wanted AAA talent on their shows, they could have them. And TNA goes to Mexico. TNA talents go down there when requested. They just haven't requested them. So I think that's just what it is. And look, when they've had New Japan talents on the show, ratings, ticket sales, and pay-per-views don't go up. I like them because I like New Japan, but New Japan's really cold right now. They're really cold right now. So, so TNA is like looking at it. It's like, okay, what are they adding to the show? Are they adding ticket sales, ratings, pay-per-view buys? No, they're not. I mean, that's the truth. That's the truth. So when they, but that doesn't mean that they won't work together. New Japan still has a show on Access, although I think that deal's coming up soon, and I could see that not getting renewed. I could see that like kind of totally going by the wayside. So, but all right, guys, I think that is going to do it for me this week on Brace for Impact. Thank you guys so much for being subscribers. Greatly appreciate it. Lots of great interaction with you guys this week. I really appreciate it. So let's keep that energy. Let's keep that energy up for next week. We had a lot of fun stuff to talk about. But yeah, that's going to do it for me this week on Brace for Impact. And until next time, mahalo.